Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's the second night of Hanukkah. Get ready for it. I'm so excited. Look at the sweater. Greatest gift ever. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, okay? Because this is going to be a great show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us. We like to do this. Listen, I throw a curveball and you just strike out. You start to cry and your mom is asking for you. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together one more time and welcome to the show. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 7, the Hanukkah Special of Philly Comedy Club presents the RUS GUTIN Experience here on Zoom, my YouTube channel, and now part of the Last Out Media Podcast Network. And you'll be able to get the podcast version of the show now on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts, apparently. So give it up for the RUS GUTIN Experience, ladies and gentlemen. We're so excited to have you here for our Hanukkah special. And we have an excellent guest, as always, for Album of the Week. One of my oldest and greatest friends in the business and one of the greatest human beings and comedians I have ever encountered. And one of my first friends ever at the Comedy Store. A living legend is going to play a clip from his new album, Daddy Boy, available on 800 Pound Gorilla Records, which is available on Apple and Spotify and everywhere you get your comedy albums. Mr. SandyDanto will join us, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Sandy. And like I said, I'm so excited you're here for our Hanukkah special. And like I mentioned at the top of the show, dropping this Monday. Today's December 11th. So 12th, 13th, 14th, Monday, December 14th, we'll drop the podcast version of Seasons 1 and 2 of Philly Comedy Club Presents the RUS GUTIN Experience with a cavalcade of comedy stars. And you'll be able to get it on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. So give it up for the RUS GUTIN Experience. We're going to be everywhere, baby. So, also, if you haven't joined us before for one of our virtual shows in here at Philly Comedy Club, as your host, we'll go over the Zoom rules of the road real quick. So just remember, we want to hear your laughs, your sighs, your claps, and your guffaws. So go ahead and unmute that mute button for me tonight. But if you feel the need to have a crying baby, a barking animal, or talking to your significant other, or even a potted plant, because let's face it, we've been in lockdown a long time at this point, please go ahead and hit that mute button and block that video screen. And also, of course, if you have to take a giant piss or a long shit, go ahead and mute that button and hit that block screen. And also, if you interrupt the show in the old world in analog comedy before the pandemic, we would have our large Dominican security guard physically remove you from the room. But luckily, here in virtual comedy, I will just hit a button and send you off into inner space on one of Elon Musk's spaceship and remove you from the room. So let's face it, not every change from real comedy in the world to virtual comedy is such a bad thing. So give it up for the Zoom rules of the road, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so thank you again for joining us here on Season 2, Episode 7 of Philly Comedy Club Presents the RUS GUTIN Experience here on Zoom, my YouTube channel, and now the Last Out Media Podcast Network that you can get on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. It's time for another edition, a holiday Hanukkah edition of your favorite segment and mine, QUARAN-BITS, where Papa Russ updates you about how life is going for him here in the quarantine, lockdown, pandemic situation that we all have found ourselves in. And this week I got two quick things for you. Now, first of all, the other day when I went grocery shopping in my hazmat beekeeper suit that I go to the Aldi in once a week, on the way out, I picked up what I thought was a plastic novelty Dr. Seuss How the Grinch Stole Christmas Whoville Cindy Lou Tree. What I thought was a plastic novelty item. It's so adorable. My kids would love it. But then, driving home in the car with these, all of a sudden I start sneezing and my eyes are watering. My face is leaking, a face leaking fucking full-on allergy attack. Okay, and I'm like, what the fuck? And also the Jew in me is like, I took my Zyzal allergy medications and I don't understand, okay? All right, but, you know, I'm sneezing my face off, okay? So I get home, I tell my wife Dara about it. She grabs the tree from me. She says, did you read the label? I did not. Spoiler alert. Okay. And then I read the label. Shall we, everyone? Whoville lemon cypress, native to California's Monterey Peninsula. This fast-growing, lemon-scented plant has multiple uses in the home, patio, and landscape. It will keep its conical shape until 30 feet tall. After the holidays, remove the ribbon and ornaments. The tree will return to its upright form in a few weeks, because apparently it has scoliosis. Done. Up to 30 feet tall and 20 feet wide. Holy shit! No wonder I almost sneezed myself off the road to my death. This tree is real as fuck. It's as real as it gets. It's keeping it 100 as a tree, ladies and gentlemen. 30 feet high, 20 feet wide. I thought it was a plastic novelty item. Nope. It's the mighty fucking ficus. The mighty California evergreen. It is the tree at Rockefeller Center, apparently. Okay. This immortal being is going to outlive us all. Okay. I just heard it say, I am Groot. Okay. And also it said fast growing. Good thing I read that. Because I was going to water it the other night. I come to my kid's room the next day. It's going to be huge. Like Andre 2 and Little Shop of Horrors. Or that tree poltergeist. Its branches are grabbing up my kid. It's like a Lord of the Rings thing. Back, you devil! You know. Peter Jackson's like, cut. That was great. Let's try it again. The point of the story is, read the label, Russ. Everyone at home, read the label of what you buy. So give it up for this California cypress ficus. This thing that is going to grow 80 feet tall. Thank you. Okay, now give it up for me. Come on, put your hands together. Okay. Now, your second and last Quaran bit of the year in 2020 here on Season 2, Episode 7, the Hanukkah special of Philly Comedy Club presents the RUS GUTIN Experience, is if you watch the show, you know that it is the second night of Hanukkah, and you would also know that your Papa Russ is a Jewy Jew who, of course, looks like Puerto Rican Zoolander with this haircut and face. I am aware of this, so happy Hanukkah to you and yours at home. And if you've seen any of the material on some of the show, you would know that I already think that there's underlying anti-Semitism in all kinds of everyday things that we don't notice, okay? But that's just me. But boy, everybody at home, did I hit the jackpot with an article I read over the break. Because apparently, in your homes and mine, Amazon's Alexa has apparently been spouting unsolicited anti-Semitic sentiments and Holocaust denier information to unsuspecting random customers around the country. Happy Hanukkah. And I was like, what the... Oh my God, Alexa's an anti-Semite too, right, everybody? First Phil Collins, then Deshaun Jackson, Nick Cannon, the guy who wrote James and the Giant Peach, and now this. I mean, come on, Alexa. Listen, Alexa, I know my mother asks both of us a lot of questions, but there is no need to get all Ted Nugent about it. You know? And we have an Alexa here in the home. And I tell you, everybody, I could have sworn the other day that I heard Alexa call me an annoying, effeminate kike under her breath. And listen, everyone, while accurate, also hurtful. Okay. It's getting a little ridiculous. I've been testing Alexa now around the house. Alexa, what time does Red Robin open for lunch? You know, if you think about it, Hitler did make some valid points. Whoa! Alexa, I just wanted a gluten-free burger, you know. Let's try this again, Alexa. Alexa, can you recommend a romantic comedy? Ordering Mein Kampf. What? I meant like Love Actually, you know, something like that. Okay, Alexa, let's try this one more time. Alexa, what will the weather be like this weekend? You know, it's true. George Soros hires protesters to destroy major cities because obviously all Jews are blood-sucking vampires. There's a 35% chance of showers. So cloudy then, Alexa? Yeah, Rust. Don't be so drama queen. You know, like all those Jews who keep blowing. You know, whoa. So my point is, happy Hanukkah from the food, but apparently not Alexa. She is not a fan of Seth Rogen, me, or any of us. Happy Hanukkah. So give it up, ladies and gentlemen, for your last edition of QUARAN-BITS here on Season 2, Episode 7 of Philly Comedy Club presents the RUS GUTIN EXPERIENCE Hanukkah Special on Zoom, my YouTube channel, and now on the Last Out Media Podcast Network that you can get on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Give it up for Papa Russ, ladies and gentlemen. And happy Hanukkah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited that you are joining us here on Season 2, Episode 7 of Philly Comedy Club presents the Hanukkah special of the RUS GUTIN Experience here on Zoom, my YouTube channel, and now the Last Out Media Podcast Network that you can subscribe to on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. And it's time for another edition, our last edition of 2020 of Album of the Week, where your Papa Russ likes to clue you in to all the amazing comedy albums that my incredible comedian friends have been putting out that you can enjoy and buy and stream during our lockdown pandemic situation. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight is no exception. Like I said, one of my favorite comedians that I have ever seen, and audiences just love. This is a true DH home run hitter and an absolute living legend at the Comedy Store. And he has opened for huge acts all over North America like Pauly Shore and Adam Ray, and you've seen him all over the place. And tonight we're going to play a clip from his amazing new album, Daddy Boy, which is available now on 800-Pound Gorilla Records, and you can get it on Apple, you can stream it on Spotify, and everywhere you get your comedy albums. So everybody, please put your hands together while I attempt to share my screen. Hold on one second. We're going to do this, everybody. We could do this. Okay, so start putting your hands together. I think this will work. We're going to share a clip of Daddy Boy, Sandy Danto's new album on 800-Pound Gorilla Records. It's in full screen. I'm sharing the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Sandy Danto. There it goes. I did it. And now enjoy. They'll fix it in post. Sandy Danto, a clip from Daddy Boy.
My wife's a nurse, so I've learned a few things since getting married about being healthy. My wife, if you know what that is and you're not clapping, feel that person. For those of you that don't know, it's the part of the hospital where they take care of very sick and or premature babies. And I'm a sick fucking baby that comes prematurely. So my wife is so that she just wants to live it 24 hours a day. Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. We did Molly at our wedding. She was our third. No, we did the drug Molly at our wedding? What, I'm gonna drink and embarrass myself or pass out or not remember anything or sweat through my rented tuxedo? No. Do Molly. That way, I sound convincing when I say I love you too to my dad's sisters. And I have a good fucking time. We went to Thailand for our honeymoon. You know what Thailand's known for, right? You got it. Yeah. I like that I don't feel as much judgment saying it.
Right.
Except for maybe this part of the Here's the thing about the ladyboys in Thailand. It's not necessarily my thing, but when you go to another country, you have to immerse yourself in the best they have to offer. It's called being cultured.
Duh.
So I suggested to my wife, in the spirit of being cultured, that we should get a ladyboy. And she goes, and do what with it? First of all, it's her, Team Caitlin, woke. Second of all, we should have a threesome. She's like, you're already bored with just me. I said, no, just hear me out. It's the only kind of threesome we'll ever be able to have. We're kind of meeting halfway on the third person. It's a bit of a stretch. I was like, nah, it's more of a tuck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for who I believe is the legendary Mr. Sandy Danto, ladies and gentlemen. Album Daddy Boy. There he is. Look at you, you handsome mensch prince, you. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. Happy Hanukkah and Merry Pandemic to us all.
That's right. Merry Pandemismus. And as they say in the UK, Happy Pandemic.
Exactly.
Oh, hold on. This is why Russell can't be in charge of things. Okay?
That was nice. It was like I was doing stand-up without having to do anything except for watch people's reactions in real time. Didn't get much from Patty, Matt, and Matt's wife and or girlfriend. And that's okay. It's already out there. It's done what it needs to do.
Yeah, these things happen, you know. Hold on. I'm back. I'm back. I fixed the video, and now I'm back, and I have the combination. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Sandy one more time, ladies and gentlemen. We might have to do that again. Sandy, thank you so much for joining us, and it is an amazing clip of your awesome album, Daddy Boy, on 800 Pound Gorilla Records that people can buy on Apple. They can stream on Spotify. They can get everywhere they get their comedy albums, and I'm going to have it here in the comments. So the first thing I want to ask you about this awesome album, Sandy, is in terms of the material that's featured on Daddy Boy, and I love the cover art. It looks like Superfly, like the movie poster, except it's you with your beautiful daughter, and it's just pristine, the artwork. But I like people to know how we go through our process of making an album. So my first question to you is, what would you say is the oldest bit, and what is the newest bit on the album?
Okay, that's a great question because this is my debut album. Wow. Admittedly, way overdue for me putting out an album. Yeah. But since that's the case, I wanted to bring back some bits that I no longer do, but still think are funny, but don't necessarily apply to my life. Oh. And so so with that in mind, I wanted to do sort of a through line for the album. So it's not just a random compilation of jokes, to have like my whole journey as a comedian from beginning to the end to where I am now, a father who identifies as a child. That's where the name came from. I'm technically an adult, but I identify as a boy.
Yeah. No, yeah, I see it.
The oldest bit on there is a bit that I did when I first started out, where I say I had to go to rehab in high school. But when you go to rehab, you got to find another vice to get addicted to get off drugs. So I got addicted to cheesecake, but then I got addicted to cheesecake and I had to go to cheesecake rehab where I found Jesus. But then I got addicted to Jesus. I had to go to Jesus rehab. By then I was just addicted to going to rehab. I had to go to rehab. Now I just do drugs.
Yeah, easier.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote that joke. That was probably when I was going to open mics in the very beginning. Wow. And I stopped doing it because Pauly Shore's like, dude, like you got to decide, are you like Stephen Wright or are you like Sandy Danto?
You're gonna be mad.
I was like, what if I really like Stephen Wright and I'm just myself? And he's like, not cool, bro. You got to really like the weasel and be yourself.
Oh my God. I remember you also used to tell the audience that you are a veteran of the Cupcake Wars.
He used to do a bit. I'm trying to remember what that bit is. It's like, it was astounding to me. I wanted to put that on the album, but I couldn't remember all of it. It was like, I couldn't believe that there's a show on the air called Cupcake Wars. And funny story, I did that bit once at a show, and the guy who came on right after me was the host of that show.
Oh, no.
But like, I can't believe there's a show called Cupcake Wars, and we're still currently in many wars that have been going on for
Right,
decades.
yeah, it's an endless war. It's
And
like
yet we're making
Afghanistan.
light of war by naming a show Cupcake Wars. Like, are there veterans of the Cupcake Wars? Like, a trick candle blew my head off. Like, my platoon got dysentery from a bad batch of red velvet. Like,
Oh my
how
God.
do you have that as a show? Call it Cupcake Wrestling or something. I don't know.
I would like that. I would watch you wrestle in a thing of cupcakes, but that's just me. You know what I mean? That's my kink. There's a spin-off coming, the Cupcake-alorian. So there's all kinds of ways you could go with it. Now, Sandy,
Cupcakes, A New Hope.
Revenge of the Gluten. So, Sandy, I do want to ask you also about this album. You recorded it in San Francisco at the Punchline. Is that correct? And it's just such a great club, and it's such a great city. I always love doing stand-up in San Francisco and Northern California. I just love that area. I love that town. And so I got to ask you, why was the Punchline in San Francisco and San Francisco the place to record this amazing set?
Great question. Within that year, I had signed my record deal, and the Punchline, the building that the club is in, was bought by Google, and they were at risk of being closed. And then there was a whole big campaign to like have Google be the landlord, and they won. Dave Chappelle had to go to San Francisco City Hall,
Right.
and it was a whole thing. And I love this club, and I really hit it off with Molly, the booker, and I think she's the owner of the club, but she's like a Mitzi Shore type figure in the comedy community in San Francisco, and we really hit it off. And she's very cool, and it's one of the clubs. The Comedy Store is my main home club, but it's the only other club that I've felt like has a similar vibe.
Right.
That's a road club with as much history. And when I found out that there might be a limited time of it existing, I was like, all right, that's where I'm recording my album, and that's where and I gotta like get on it and do it, and the stars aligned for me to do it. Actually, I recorded the album a year ago from right now.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's incredible. Give it up for Sandy, ladies and gentlemen. I
Thank
love
you.
that. But that's incredible because you did try to capture something, and I would imagine that almost put you in a position where it's like, I got to get this done. So you didn't have time to overthink it. And you have such a wealth of material that you're even telling me you've forgotten things that I just remember. I think about all the time. I mean, you have bits that I think about all the time. You're just the absolute, and you're just as funny when you're doing your material as the pauses are, because when people see you and you smile at the audience, it's an instant connection. It's absolutely uncanny. It's, I would say, less than 2% of all comics have that magical instant connection with the audience that you have. I truly mean that, and I've told you that many times, so I'm not blowing
Hey
smoke.
Russ, where were you yesterday after I did a corporate Christmas party Zoom show?
Oh well,
I needed this. I needed
bring me
this
to these
immediately
things.
after that because I haven't gotten paid yet, and now I don't know if I'm going to.
Well, listen, I guarantee that this show is going to pay you less, but give your soul more. That's all I can guarantee you.
Honestly, I really hope that it does.
Thank you. That is the nicest thing a comedian has ever said to me about payment. So now, listen, Sandy, speaking of the Comedy Store, that is where you and I met. I think you and I met around 2005, 2006. That's where I cut my teeth in LA. It is the greatest place in the world. It is summer camp. It is eternal summer camp for comedians. It's the greatest place on earth. You were a legend even when I met you there already at the Comedy Store. And now, even though LA is in perpetual lockdown, somehow you and our buddy Dan Madonia have a show on the Comedy Store's Twitch channel called the Dandy Manto Show. And I am so excited to ask you two questions about it. It's on Thursdays on the Comedy Store's Twitch channel. And so two questions. One, why is the LAPD allowing the two of you of all people to congregate in any way? And two, what games are you going to be playing on the show? What are you guys going to be doing on the Comedy Store's Twitch feed?
First of all, let's leave the LAPD out of this.
Okay.
Funny story. Actually, funny story before I answer all those questions. Last week, we tried to do it for the first time, and when we got to the Comedy Store, there was a break-in, so we had to call the cops, and we didn't end up doing it because we had to be questioned by the police over the break-in at the Comedy Store.
Oh, no.
Okay? So that's first. Second, we're going to be... I mean, it was classic Comedy Store. It made me feel nostalgic and comforted all at the same time.
Yeah.
We're going to be pretty much playing NBA 2K exclusively.
Ooh.
The weird thing is, it's a Twitch show, so it's literally just us riffing and telling jokes while we play video games, and you can see the video game footage that we're playing. Man, I know I'm old because it shocks me that anyone can get into watching this.
Yeah.
And like watching other people play video games is like a huge phenomenon.
Yep.
If you could have told all the girls I tried to date in college and post-college that this would be something that is acceptable, I would have been thrilled.
Big business.
But I lost a lot of romantic interest this way. And now it's a viable source of income. So it's all just very confusing and exciting at the same time. Me and Dan lived together for years, and this is what we used to do when we lived together. So it's cool that we can make it something productive because, man, it's amazing that just like sitting on your ass and pretending to be athletes is something
and no one pretends to be athletes better than the comedians at the Comedy Store. The vicious basketball rivalries. Dan even broke his leg once at the Comedy Store basketball league. Now, speaking of that, and first of all, I just want to say, side note, I feel exactly the same way about Twitch. I love video games. I talk about it a lot on the show. But as far as Twitch is concerned, I don't even know what it is. I didn't even know what Zoom was until the lockdown, and I had to.
Nobody did.
Like everyone's like, my son's like, Dad, you've been muted. You know, when I tried to watch an Eagles game with my friends, like, my son is better at it than I am, Sandy. And I felt the same way about Twitch, but I'm going to try to figure it out because it's fun, you know what I mean? And I love that you're playing NBA 2K. I love doing that stuff. I love playing as the Sixers. Okay, so speaking of Dan and the Comedy Store, I posted on my social media feed this week leading up to this episode. I found a picture when I was looking around my computer the other day for the show. It's circa us from 2007 when I used to have Friday Night Live every Friday night in the Belly Room. What a lineup that used to be, if you remember. It's so incredible how everybody
the best.
Like everybody's like everybody knows everybody from the show from back then. Noel Gravely and Luke Curry ran it with me every Friday. It was amazing. And I found a picture of you in some sort of giraffe costume and Stan in a Hawaiian shirt with no shirt under it, completely open, and a sailor hat like the skipper from Gilligan's Island. It was the shot we all took when you guys got off, you would get off stage. So Sandy, do you remember this picture? And explain What psychedelics were involved?
Well, I was just gonna say we were obviously both totally sober.
Right.
And,
No, yeah.
It was from Halloween, I believe, either 2010 or 2011, probably 2010.
Okay.
And we had just come from a comedy party. Either we were coming from a comedy party or we were about to take off and go to a comedy party.
Oh, okay. I was like, did Sandy do a set as a giraffe? Because I believe it.
Probably did, yeah. It probably did.
If anyone could do a set like, oh my God, take it. Oh my God, you know, I don't know. I don't have any.
You might say I did a giraffe. I did a comedy set as a giraffe, and I was higher than giraffe pussy.
Hey, zippity doo. Yeah, you got to get a step stool at least. You know, it's up there. You know what I mean? Reach for the stars and land on the moon, so you'll always be happy. Okay, so I don't think that's the thing at all. Now, Sandy, what the folks at home might not realize is, like I said at the beginning, you are like a legend at the Comedy Store, but also just as a comedian in our community, you're just considered a home run hitter, a DH, and you have opened for amazing acts all over North America, like you already mentioned. Pauly Shore, Bobby Lee, Josh Wolf, and our great mutual friend, Mr. Adam Ray. As a matter of fact, right there is a picture of you, me, and Adam Ray at the Village Lantern from the night we all did that show together.
That's a great night, and funny you mentioned that. I don't know what question you have, but I'm cutting you off.
That's okay. That's okay.
You posted a video of my set, and then like a few months later, I got or maybe like a year later, I woke up to 2 voicemails from the casting director of Louie saying that her and Louie saw that video from me at the Village Lantern and they want me to be on the show. But they thought I was in New York and I was in LA, and they're like, we need you on set at 3 p.m. And this was like 9:30 LA time.
Oh,
and I was like, I'll get on a plane right now. Just wait for me. And they're like, no, we can't do it. Sorry. But then I saw the episode and it was like him and Louie and Doug Stanhope were at an open mic and they were like being nostalgic. And a lot of the comics were like clearly bad. And I was like, wait, did they pick me because I'm clearly bad?
I thought I had a look, because je ne sais quoi.
So now I'm like, Louis got what he deserved. Fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him. Yeah, unsubscribe, unfollow, block. Yes.
Canceled for being a meanie.
Yeah.
And sexual assault. Also sexual.
And also you were wearing that great tuxedo shirt that you used to wear.
I honestly think it was for that reason, because it's such a like first few years comic gimmick thing to do.
And yeah, and you know what? That was, speaking of us being old and amazed by Twitch, that was when people were like, Russell, you got to take these videos and put it on this YouTube. I was like, what's a YouTube? You know, so even then I was trying, I'm always playing catch up with technology. But this is my question. It was more of a funny question, but I just wanted people to know that you've opened for all the people. These amazing headliners have always counted on you to just pop open the crowd, because they just, like I said, crowds just instantly love you, and you're just so great, and you just have material for days. So tell me, Sandy, what is more stressful, opening for big acts like them, or watching me, Russ Gutin, attempt to put air in all 4 of his tires because he doesn't know which one is flat in his old Ford Focus at that gas station in Cherry Hill that one time? Which is more stressful?
Definitely watching you put air in tires. For sure, way more stressful. There's nothing less stressful than going on stage opening for a huge act, because you have nothing. If you know what you're doing, I mean, they're not there to see me. I can do whatever I want.
Right. Right.
I'm set up to just go out there. They don't have any expectation of me. So if I go out there and charm them and then start telling good jokes, it's over, and then it's set up well for the next person.
Right.
But watching you try to figure out which tire needs more air pressure and not have a tire pressure gauge. And Jews were not meant to do that sort of thing.
There's no Jews in NASCAR. Zip, zip, zip.
If we knew how to gauge tire pressure, we wouldn't have walked in the desert for 40 years.
Right, right. We would have turned the butts into...
We would have turned the dough into wheels, and we would have gotten the fuck out of there.
Yeah, no. I'm not meant to work on cars.
They can't even get the Jews. We can't even get the dough to rise. How the fuck are we expected to get the tires to rise?
How am I going to put air in the tires of a Ford Focus? You know, at the Chevron here in Cherry Hill. What are you kidding me? Oh, that was a great day, though. That was really fun, though. And, man, I was sweating. Oh, my God. I've never had such an anxiety attack in my life. And then we stopped at CVS. And then you guys went home. And you did the show the next day in Philly. And then I was... That's a great... Sorry, Sandy. That is a great answer. Holy shit. Now, I got two more for you. Okay, buddy? Now,
yep.
Now, one of my favorite things about you, you weren't wearing one of them in the video, but one of my favorite things, I've mentioned your tuxedo shirt and your giraffe costume, but actually, generally, whenever I see you live, you are always wearing these fantastic animal print shirts. Like coyotes howling at the moon and shit, and a hawk, you know, like, and just each one more over the top than the next. So I gotta know, which is do you have a favorite one?
It's been a long time since I've worn them because I you know, it's been hot until recently here in LA.
Right.
But let me just tell you some that I love, and I'll try to pick my favorite. I've got one with, like, I'm not sure because I'm not an animal scientist. What is I'm not a zoologist.
Right.
To use the Latin term, I'm not a zoologist.
Yeah. The Latin.
But I've got one. I'm not sure if it's a cougar or a bobcat or a mountain lion, or if all three are the same fucking thing with different names.
Right. They'll all kill you.
But I've got that's my favorite one, I think. Or I have one that's a polar bear.
Oh yeah.
Aww.
Leo.
I have.
Seasonal.
Yeah, exactly. Seasonal. I've got one that's a wolf for fall. The cougar slash bobcat slash mountain lion is for summer. And the polar bear is for winter.
Right.
And in the springtime, I just let my chest hair bloom.
You have so much of it. You know what I mean? You want to flaunt it. You know, if you got it, flaunt it. There it is. Look at that. Usually on Zoom, it's a little lower. We've had some of those incidents here on Zoom. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Look at that. Look at the definition. Wow.
Oh, and I'm wearing my punchline. I'm wearing my punchline hoodie.
Oh, I love it. I really love the whole story behind that album.
Everything's really coming together right here on Zoom.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. This show has everything. Chest hair, hoodies, bobcats,
Novelty menorahs,
an elf on the shelf. I mean, we spared no expense, as you can see. Decoration. Yes, that's right. We're nominated for a daytime Emmy. Yes, Bob died the other day, but he gave it his all when he decorated that set. It'll be a daytime Emmy. All right, so Sandy, I've got one last question for you here on season 2, episode 7, the Hanukkah special of the RUS GUTIN Experience, presented by Philly Comedy Club. And like I said, at the Comedy Store, my favorite place on earth, as a comedian, there is no greater place to feel like you had a good set than the Comedy Store. And like I said, when I met you, you were already a legend there. And one of the cool things that people could see actually on your social media feed is at the end of your sets, you actually invite the crowd on stage to take a picture with you. You flip the script on them. You don't wait for selfies after the show. You invite everybody on stage to take a picture with you. So I got to know, what is the origin story of this awesome tradition? How did it get started? And has it ever gone very wrong?
Just to answer the last part, yes, it has gone wrong.
Yes, I hope so.
One time, a couple of Canadian tourists stole a mic and a mic stand.
What? How are they going to get through customs?
I don't know. That's a great question. If I could track them down, I would ask.
Yeah.
I've had people just not comply and not want to like have fun. It's actually, I don't do it at the end of my sets.
Oh.
What happens is I do it at the beginning when I'm up late at night at the Comedy Store, because those audiences need to be re-engaged.
Yeah.
And for years I would just go on at 1 o'clock, 1:15,
Right.
2 in the morning, whatever. And I would go up feeling defeated and not make good use of my time and not have fun up there. And then one time there was like 6 people in the audience. I was like, you guys just want to come up on like there, and you know, they're all scattered in the back of the room.
Yeah, that's the
and they
worst.
they're tired. They don't want to, they're like, they've seen who they came to see. And I just had them come up on stage, and we live in this era of online content. So then I started incorporating the pictures.
Right.
And it took off from there. And then I was like, well, it started out me just like kind of doing crowd work with them on stage. And then I was like, well, let's see how far I can push this. I had them crowd surf me. I've had them like bounce me on a chair. Like we're doing the horror at my,
man.
I've had them like reenact topical current events at the time. I've had girls flash for the picture.
I've seen a lot of twerking in the pictures. A lot of twerking.
I've seen a lot of twerk. I've gotten people. I've twerked in the picture. I did some ballroom dancing.
That.
I've gotten people to get outside their comfort zone and do some weird shit.
I'm so mad about the Canadian tourists. Oh, it's always a Canadian, you know. They're so nice, you know. We know
because you don't expect it. They're not as nice.
They're
not as nice as you think they are.
No. What does Rick Ingram call them? Maple syrup eaters and all that stuff. When he's
Filthy maples, I believe.
Oh yeah, he goes right after any Canadian, man. That's a sight to see in the original room, and that's a great answer, and I really appreciate it. I definitely recommend going to Sandy Danto at Sandy Danto, and I think one of them is an Instagram that has the underscore Sandy_Danto.
No underscores.
Oh, no underscore. Sandy at Sandy Danto on all the social media platforms to see those pictures because they are absolutely classic. So, ladies and gentlemen, I really can't tell you how much I have appreciated having my guest here tonight. Sandy, I know I've told you this many times, but you and Matt and Dan and a few others and Tony were all kind of my first friends at the Comedy Store. You were like, hey, this guy's all right. And we were on the back porch doing what we do, you know, and making those smoke rings. And you always made me feel like I was part of the party. And I'm just so proud of you and this album, Daddy Boy, that people can finally know what we all know, is that you're a living legend, my friend. And I hope that people will pick up Daddy Boy. It's available on 800 Pound Gorilla Records. You can get it on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your comedy albums. Give it up for my buddy, the Mensch, Mr. Sandy Danto.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you for having me. Can I add one more thing about the album? Thank you.
Yeah,
guys.
sure. Yeah, bonus content, baby.
So just a little behind the scenes. It's named Daddy Boy, and I told you why I named it Daddy Boy. It's a funny sounding name, and it's because I'm an adult. It's still basically a child. But I found out that Daddy Boy is a term in the underground gay sex.
Oh, happy Hanukkah to you.
And it's dually apropos because I have a bit on the album about how I once directed gay porn.
Yes, I love that.
Which is true. And if you're curious about that, check out the album. So now it actually is that much more meaningful.
Yes, and yes.
That's all I gotta say.
It's so meaningful. And you know, while some have called me a twink, I always imagined you would be there. So
I would be a teddy
a
bear.
bear or a gummy bear, and I would
A gummy bear, yeah.
yeah, bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that is beyond compare. Sandy is a gummy bear. So give it up for the legendary Sandy Danto and his album Daddy Boy. Joining us on another edition of Album of the Week on Season 2, Episode 7 of Philly Comedy Club presents the RUS GUTIN Experience here on Zoom, my YouTube channel, and now the Last Out Media Podcast Network that you can get on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Thank you for joining us for the Hanukkah special. Happy Hanukkah, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up. Bye, Sandy. Or you
Bye,
can
guys.
stay
Thank
with us.
you.
Stay with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our last segment here on Season 2, Episode 7, the Hanukkah special of Philly Comedy Club presents the RUS GUTIN Experience here on Zoom, my YouTube channel, and what is now also available as a podcast on the Last Out Media Podcast Network that you can get on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. It's the Hanukkah special, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time for our last segment of the night. It's Ask Russ Anything, ARA or APA, Ask Papa Anything, Hanukkah edition, where I open up the floor to the gallery, usually my son or wife, to ask me a question at the end of the show that I don't know, and I will answer as honestly or as funnily as I possibly can. So let's open it up to the floor.
Go ahead. What do you want for Christmas, Dada?
What do I want for Christmas? Well, it's the second night of Hanukkah. Okay, but what do I want for Christmas? Okay, what do I want for Christmas? Well, we do both around here. I'm so lucky I married an Italian. I get both. This is great. I used to be jealous of other kids in school that got that. Okay, let's go. I want the Lord of the Rings 4K remaster that comes with the rig and all of this stuff. I want the $120 Mandalorian Star Wars Nerf Premium Sniper Rifle. Okay? I want the $200 Hot Toys collectible John Wick figure that comes in a box that looks like it's from the Continental and comes with one of their Cougaran assassin currency things. And also the goddamn blood marker from number 2 and 3 that John must honor and kill that dude's sister. And then he makes Halle Berry honor his marker. Yes, I want those things. But I will actually scrap that because honestly, I really don't. And I'm trying to be cutesy, but this is true. Especially with how 2020 has gone. I really don't need anything but my awesome wife, Dara, my beautiful children, Rocco and Sophia, my awesome parents, Bubby and Zadie, Iris and Maddie, and my beautiful mother-in-law, Nona, Patty, who have all been part of our quarantine bubble and have made this whole thing work. I have everything I need, and also, to be honest, I also have a PlayStation 5. So this, what I'm saying right now, is so much easier to say because I did actually get a PlayStation 5 for myself. Because on Hanukkah, you can always count on me to give a gift to myself. So, or 7 others. So it's so much easier to say that I really am the luckiest ducky to have you, Rocco, and my family who make all of this happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, really, I can't thank you enough. This has been an amazing year. I want to thank our guest, Sandy Danto. Please get his album, Daddy Boy. I want to thank everybody behind the scenes who make the show happen. Of course, Dara, our executive producer here at the house, but also behind the scenes, Emilio Savone, Candy Claire, Nick Angelo, and the whole team at New York Comedy Club, our mothership that makes all of it happen and our ticketing arm happen. And we're the ones that sort of pushed me in this direction to do this awesome show. And I also want to thank Mr. John Barchard, who is a great personality in the Philly sports Twitter podcast universe, formerly of Go Birds and WIP, and now has his awesome new company, Last Out Media. And he was like, Russ, we're going to take season 1 and 2 in the Hanukkah special. We're going to package it up. We're going to get you ready for season 3. So this Monday, December 14th, is going to drop the podcast version of seasons 1 and 2 of Philly Comedy Club Presents the Russ Gutin Experience. And like I said, it is a cavalcade of comedy stars, everybody from Nico White, Mike Feeney, to Dan Altano, to Sandy Danto, to all other kinds of people. It is absolutely amazing. And even Andy Beckerman, and who I believe is the best living comedian, Naomi Ekperigan, the co-host of Couples Therapy Podcast. I mean, the list of guests go on and on. So I can't thank John Barchard and Last Out Media for putting us in a position here at Philly Comedy Club to turn this show into something even greater than it was intended to be. So give it up for all of our producers. Woo! And our last bit of jargon is watch out world, because season 3 of the Russ Gutin Experience will be coming to you starting every Friday. February 26th is the first one for season 3. We're going to have amazing guests. We're going to have more QUARAN-BITS. We're going to have more albums of the week. We're going to have more Russell Around the Interwebs. We're going to have Dan come back and cook more food with me and my beautiful human wife, Dara. So it's going to be amazing. So thank you so much. I'm going to say it one more time for joining us here on the last show of 2020, season 2, episode 7, the Hanukkah special of Philly Comedy Club Presents the Russ Gutin Experience, here on Zoom, my YouTube channel, on the Last Out Media Podcast Network, that you can get on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Happy Hanukkah, everybody! Give it up for your public. Yay! Yay! I'm over here now. Where's the song I suggest?